All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family. I'm just so happy. We're happy. I am happy, happy, happy to come to you again this Sunday afternoon with another episode of Real Talk with Ian and Ian. So just sit back, get your water, your coffee. We're just going to go take you down the memory lane. And guys, if we're going to talk about any form of middle distance running, today you're going to hear from the one and only. He's considered the one of the best middle distance runner in Jamaica. And we're going to hear some of the good old days, why he was so good. And we're going to just take you back and, just to hear from this man himself. He's from the parish of St. Elizabeth, and he's also a student from the noble institution, St. Elizabeth Technical High School. And we're just so happy because it's always a pleasure when, three Steths past students, we always got to give big shout out to the institution. And we're just so happy to bring um, another person from the technical in studio. So guys, again, we want to give a shout out to all the fans that are going to join us and all the fans in Wales, the UK, the USA, Jamaica, and so we're just going to hand you over to the big time man in the orange, and the glasses, the health and wellness specialist, Mr. Ian Thomas.
Okay, guys, good afternoon to our fans, who've been following us for so many months. This afternoon we promise, as usual, to bring you someone who is able to educate, motivate, and uplift somebody. And that's based on their journey, their lifestyle, and based on what they've been through. But this afternoon we have with us Mr. Kenroy Levy. We could not have wished to bring on a better motivator than this gentleman here, who have basically spent a lifetime, I say, doing athletics. Whether he's on the track or off the track, I think he's always running. This man must be running even in his dream. We may be taught so much that when it comes to middle distance, that he could be supposed to be here mentally. So this afternoon, we also want to say, we welcome you to the platform. Um,
Yeah.
that
We're,
here.
you kind of, your volume got kind of low for a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I hope you guys are hearing me now.
Yes.
All right. And I just want to turn it over anyway back to Ian. So, Kenroy, welcome to the platform. Ian and Ian.
Thanks for having me.
yeah. All right, guys. So again, we got Mr. Kenroy Levy. Past student of Steths. He's also a student. Well, we're going to let him tell you a little bit about all that good stuff. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but as usual, Kenroy, we just want you to let the viewers know. Just tell us a little bit, where exactly are you from in St. Elizabeth? Just tell us about that little town, and just let us know. Tell us, when did you actually know that you was going to be a great runner?
I'm from the little, just called Potsdam. It's just next to Monroe College, just a stone's throw away from the college. Went to Epping Forest, old age, and well, honestly, I wasn't into athletics. I was into cricket. Um, my dad used to play cricket, um, so that's all I wanted to do was play cricket. Um, my brother and my bigger sister used to do running, so I wanted to do something totally different, which is follow my dad would play cricket. So, which I did, through primary. I played cricket for primary school until miraculously one day one of the teachers just decided that Your brother can run, your sister can run, your must can run. So that's how we started.
All right, sound good. So just let us know, where did you go? What primary school did you go to? And obviously, I said you got a brother and sister that used to run. So obviously, the legacy have started before you. So I'm pretty sure we're always good to know. Where did you get this inspiration from? So we always want to give a shout out, and also we want to talk about your dad. He was a cricketer, and I'm sure that he probably one of those legend from Alport,
No, Alken.
Alcan, sorry. Okay, so just tell us a little bit about your primary school and the early influence about you running during primary school. What primary school did you actually go to?
Well, Epping Forest College.
Okay, okay.
Um, well, back in the days, we have coming up to sports day. So we all have to do cross country runs and stuff like that. And Monroe was just next door, so Monroe always asked the Epping Forest students to come across, so to compete with the Monroe boys because they were competing for champs and all of the other events. So they would use us as training compatriots, you know. So I'll never forget, you know, the bigger boys were going running one afternoon, and the late Mrs. Grant said to me one day, "Your brother can run. You must can run." So he sent me with the boys. So it's about a 5 mile run around back to school. So he didn't tag me with my brother. He tagged me with another boy from my brother's class. So when we reached halfway by Monroe, we could see across over to the all age school. So what I did, I just jogged across, went down the hill. So, but I walked most of the way. So when I got to the foot of the hill, I went to the hydrant, wet my chest up, walked halfway up the hill. And when I reached almost back to the school, I run in, breathless, like I did something. And Mrs. Grant said to me, "I tell you, you could do it." But deep down, I know I walked more than half of the way. But she was convinced that I did. Now, the boys didn't want to let Mrs. Grant down, so they tell a little lie that, yeah, he ran all the way. So, when the time came, we have this parish thing where we did at Alpart, where we're selected to go to Steths to compete within the parish. Then we go to the All Island events. The week of the meet at Alpart, I was asked to tell my parents to get me ready to go, but I didn't want to go, so I didn't tell my parents. So on the Friday morning, I purposely decided to go to school late, not knowing that Mrs. Grant would be late also. So she had to pass my home to go to school. So just as I reached the entrance to the main road, there was Mrs. Grant. She started telling my mom, she's gonna take good care of me for the day. My mom said, "Where's he going?" "We're going to Alport." "Oh, he didn't tell me anything." So I didn't have any shorts because I didn't want to go. But anyway, I went and thought I three gold and one silver on the day, and that's where it actually started. Went to Steths, made the parish team, went to Kingston, and from there it just took off.
All right, all right, all right. So I'm gonna get one more question in, then we'll put you over to your your neighbor. over there in Southfield, St. Elizabeth. But just tell us a little bit about, a lot of people probably didn't know, but, I want to give a shout out to the BB Coke. It has produced a lot of athletes that, eventually end up at Steths. So after all age school, just tell us a little bit about how did you end up going to BB Coke, and a little bit about your track career. How did running goes, and how long did you spend at BB Coke?
Well, funny about it, I was supposed to go straight to Steths from Epping Forest, but we heard about the ragging in Steths and some of the things that actually took place, So I decided, boy, I ain't going there, you know. So I told my parents I wasn't going. So he said, well, I'll get you a hoe and a machete and you go do farming. So I wasn't ready for that. So I decided I'm gonna go to BB, and I did 1 year at BB at the time, and through the cross country season, Mike Olivier, that was the head coach of Steths at the time, he came over and he was impressed with that run. He came to the sports day and he was even more impressed, and he said, you got to come to Steths. And so I did only 1 year at BB, and went on to Steths.
All right, awesome. So tell us a little bit. Actually, I'm going to hold that a little bit. Over to you, Ian. Yeah, you're muted, Ian.
Yeah, I wish I could have tell you just to continue a while ago, because But anyway, the fact that Kenroy had mentioned cricket, I just want to give a shout out to all the cricketers out there and whoever may tune on and watching and you're a cricketer, especially if you went to St. Elizabeth Technical High School. This entire week, Kenroy was devoted to cricket for me. We had a big tournament here in Fort Lauderdale, the US Open.
Yeah, you're still going out in
the most fun.
Yeah, you're probably too far away from your sister.
You hear me, Ian? All right. So what I was saying is that cricket this weekend was just mostly cricket for me. So I was happy that you mentioned cricket.
Yeah.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing it, but
Yeah.
go ahead. I'll let you know if you're going down. It seemed like you're going up and down.
Up and down, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was saying that this weekend I was, basically on the cricket field. We had a tournament down here in South Florida, the US Open. So I had the privilege of seeing a few of those kids past me when we were playing a lot of cricket. And I just want to give a shout out to all those people. I was able to see John people, top cricket considered who have also been part of for the West Indies. A young guy from Brooklyn.
Brumfield.
Robert Simpson.
Yes.
Robert the Simpson. And I just name a few of them, Mark Parchment, and also I say so. I have to say Daddy.
Yeah, I'm still not hearing you good.
No,
Ian. Yeah, we're having some.
I'm gonna come back.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah. So, Levy, we're gonna continue. You're gonna come back home. Just for a second. So, I'm just gonna continue with the BB Coke. Just tell us about your early years at BB Coke. I know that. How was track and field like for you running at BB Coke? I know that you probably continue to run, and I know that you're saying that you probably should have gone to Steths, but obviously you still was a great athlete. So just tell us what couple of the glorious days at BB Coke, what you was able to accomplish while you was at BB Coke.
Well, like I said before, I just spent, I think, just one term there because
okay.
So I was just able to do the cross country and sports day, and that was that at BB. Going to BB at the time is like I've never seen anything like me at BB. It's like an Olympian on the dirt. At BB, you know, is that every event I participate in, didn't matter what event I wanted to run. You know, everybody was fear. This guy can run about everything. You know,
All
from
right.
four right up to middle distance to the distance. You know, so that's from where he just took off and went straight to Steths.
All right, all right. So, so just your little short period at BB Coke, as I said, we know the history of BB Coke, and there's many athletes that been through BB Coke. So I just wanted you to just to say a few words about them. So, all right. So just tell us, let's move on to Stets. Let us know what year did you go at Stets, and we're going to talk about when you get to Stets. Just tell us a little bit about what the program was like back then. During the years when you attend Stets.
Well, when I went to Steths from BB, there was three of them. There's three of the guys who used to run with me. There was a guy called Bob. He was a class one just, and we have Yadburn Sims and Nathan. Running there. So we all went to Steths the time. When we went to Steths, I don't know, mate. It was like I was just a little boy comparing to all these men, because even the athletes in my year, they were like 6 foot tall, and I was just this little boy, and I was like, I don't think I can fit in here, man. Because look at these men, they're so big. When I look at the class one men, I couldn't tell who was teachers from who was students, apart from when they were wearing uniforms. Some of them were even bigger than the teachers. Because when I went to Steths, we had like Big Harriet. We have Sebastian Warner, the great Winthrop Graham, and all those guys in their final year. Got some awesome guys at the time when I got there in my final year. Paul Bryan, the final year. Was an awesome. Once I get into Steths and 15 into the program, it was a family. You didn't feel no fear once you get in with the guys, because it was one big family. When we got out there in the afternoon for training, we have a guy called Donny Swaby. All right, him and Big Harriet. We used to call him Big Harriet, because they make sure that everybody is on the track by 3:15, ready for training. We all warm up together. They take the exercises. It didn't matter which age group you was in. We're all treated like little brothers and big brothers. So there was nothing to fear. It was just fantastic, mate. There's something that we just happened just now before we came on here, which every evening before we train, it had to happen prior.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Every
Okay.
evening before we train and after training, there was prior, mates. You couldn't leave the track until we give thanks to finish the next session. And it seemed like the same tradition just continue for years, never stop.
All right. Sound good. So we're going to talk about. I want to mention 3 names at Steths that really should bring back some memories to you. We want to talk about Miss Mary. I know that Miss Mary was a lot of people. She was like a mother that always cooked for the athletes. She always makes sure that Don't matter how much food is cooked. There's another pot is put aside. Tell us what was that like with her back in your days.
Well, Miss Mary wasn't like a mother. Miss Mary was the mother,
Okay.
right? With the rest of staff in that kitchen. And, you know, I'll come to him now, but I got to mention him, Alex. Alex
Well,
was Papa, and Miss
yeah.
Mary was Mama. You know, those two people in the kitchen would make sure that no student in the institution, you pay for lunch, yes or no, that you have something to eat. But in terms of the athletes, especially on the weekend when we have to go out early, you know, those ladies would come to the kitchen and make sure that bang on 5 o'clock, you know, breakfast is ready. And we couldn't say, boy, we don't want anything because we had to eat. Because she'll make sure that we eat. She said, boy, you can't run by empty belly. Sit down and drink up your porridge. And I
Yeah.
tell you something, I never forget this. Miss Mary would sit down and make sure you eat your breakfast. Yeah, you had to have some. You know, God bless her soul. She was the heart of, well, the mother of the track and field when it comes to feeding us.
All right. Well said. Well said. I know you have talked about the groundsman, and we also want to give a shout out to the tuck shop staff, Miss Janet Fagan.
Yes.
You know, tell us. I know that when I was going to school, I didn't want to eat in the cooked food
Mm.
every day. You know, I wanted to drink orange juice and eat the patty and cocoa bread. So some of us have got the option to switch our meal plan to the tuck shop.
Yeah.
And for for you, as I said, I see you as an elder, a Steths legend. What was the experience like? Were you a tuck shop guy eater, or you were just strictly dumpling and chicken?
Well, in the early days, we had to go to canteen,
Okay.
and there were no switching for us as the younger ones. We had to go. You wanna purchase, then you go to there, but it was there. Because as you talk about the canteen stuff and the talk shop, back in my years, there, mate, I tell you, every member of staff, it didn't matter which department you worked at Steths. It was just one big happy family. It didn't matter where you worked, mate. They all took care of us, you know, right through. You know, there were some fantastic people there. You know, I remember Mrs. Fagan. I went back down to Steths a couple of years after. She was still working there.
Yeah.
And when she saw me, she said, "My God, Kenroy Levy!" And she would run over and hugging me. You know, I'm thinking, "Oh, you remember me?" She said, "How can I ever forget you, boy?"
Yeah.
You know, so I remember the Steths. You know, it was just fantastic. It's teachers, groundsmen, canteen staff. It didn't matter where you work, even to the wider community. You know, people within the community, they make sure every student is protected in the same Santa Cruz area. There, you know, for me, the experience of Steths within the boundaries of Steths and outside the boundaries of Steths is just one big family in Santa Cruz. Once you come to Steths, once you mention Steths, it doesn't matter. You break the rules, you pay for it outside too.
All right. That's awesome to hear. So back in your days, and I said, I think Ian his mic should be good and everything now. I'm gonna give him a double session after this. So after let's talk about you're traveling to school. How difficult was that for you? What was the arrangement? You coming from off the hill, How were you able to work with your coming to school? From up in the cool hills.
Well, I have a number of means of coming. I could jump on the Monroe bus when it's coming down to Santa Cruz to pick students up, or get a taxi. I have a number of members of the community who work in Santa Cruz and beyond. So I could get a lift into Steths. Sometimes, as you know, we just call it we boom ride and
Okay.
keep our bus fare.
All right.
So,
All right.
so we all done that there, but most of the time I travel with the Monroe or Hampton bus.
Okay. 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 I know it was difficult for people to train. As I said, like you, like a super athlete. So I know people that was going around. There's only a couple bus, so I know. Talking to Dennis and people that live around, it was a bit challenging for them. So they would somewhat try to get a place down in closer to school. Were you at any point live on the school compound, on the campus, or local in Santa Cruz?
Yes, I did. I did in my final year. But like I said, where Dennis live in Junction Inn, you got to go gutters and then get a ride in, right? For me, it was just one straight through from Santa Cruz straight to Monroe,
Oh,
and I was home. All right. I just had to make sure that if I'm supposed to be up by the primary school at 5 o'clock, I got to be there 5 minutes too,
okay,
you
okay,
know,
okay,
and my ride will be wherever it's supposed to be on time. So I
okay.
never have any real problem getting into in for training. But in my final year, I wanted to do something different because um, we had a lot of challenge back in school, and I just wanted to be the best. You know, after I think it was 85, competing against my bigger brother for the first time who attend Vere, um, I was, you know, that was the first time I compete against my big brother, and it was fantastic. It was this. I wanted to do something special, man.
All right. Well, we're going to get into a little bit of track stuff, but let me get the specialist his perspective. Go ahead, Ian.
I hope you guys are hearing me this time
Yes.
around.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kenroy, you mentioned cricket, and I'm not gonna leave that part
No.
alone. So because I'm a cricketer myself, and what I really wanted to do is to give a big shout out to all the cricket fans, especially the States cricketers. This entire week, I was basically involved in a cricket tournament here, the US Open T20. You look at my eyes, they're running like Saturday. I've been running like 5 days straight. And just to make sure that this tournament went on in terms of the partners. I was responsible for the whole safety of players regarding the people wearing their masks, people washing their hands,
Yeah.
keeping the social distance and so forth. But
Okay.
I had the privilege of basically seeing some of the best cricketers we have there in Jamaica, which include Chris Gale and Andre Russell. And both of them were in the tournament. Actually, Andre Russell team lost the Somerset Cavaliers in the semi-finals. Chris Gale went on with his team and they won the finals.
Okay.
And on that team, we had at least 4 States players in the winning team. They were part of the squad. And I really want to give a shout out to these cricketers. We have a young guy named Martino Minley, a young pace bowler called up into the West Indies side. Give a shout out to the bowled extremely well today. We also had Robert Simpson, young guy. He played Jamaica under 15, under 17, and under 19. He was just 20 years old, just about to get out there.
Yeah.
We also had another guy named Damien Evans, and he captained the side. What happened? Some of the Guyanese had to leave a little early, so he ended up captaining the last 2 games, the semifinals and the final. And I just want to give a big shout out to Daddy Man from South St. Elizabeth. And then we had Mark Parchment from Cheapside. And then some
They
people
were going in and out, Ian. Yeah. Yeah.
And shout out to Sean Finley too. So the Steths cricketers and a whole. My question before I leave you here, Kenroy, when you went to Steths, did you know Bennett knew that you could play cricket?
Well, it wasn't Junior at the time. It was Doc Bennett. Um, Doc used to come to Steths in the afternoon after surgery, and one evening we had the pleasure of the great Mikey Holden down there one afternoon because we had some very good baseball at the time, a guy called Snake, a left
Yeah,
hand.
yeah.
And we were training on the outskirts of it, and a ball was knocked down towards the grandstand, towards the bleachers area. I ran around, picked it up, threw it back in straight over the stump, and he called me over and said, "You must can play cricket, man. Pad up." you know, unfortunately, coach wasn't there, so I was able to pad up and and he wanted me to come and do cricket, but it wouldn't have worked because Olivier said, "Boy, you can't do two things. You either the track or you do cricket." So when I looked after the first year, when I entered into Steths, I made the Carifta team. And we had a runoff in Steths. And I was selected for the Carifta games, but they had this guy from Monroe called Pete Coley. When he went to champs, he ran a better time, so he squeezed me back out. So I ended up didn't go to the Carifta. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if I run, I can go foreign.
Okay.
It don't seem like the cricketers him leaving Steths going nowhere. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna stick to track and field. So that's what happened there.
Okay, I got it. But all right now, so what about the community? You said from Epping Forest. Epping Forest is known for cricket also. It's a school for cricket.
Yes.
It's a school for track and field. And also netball. We remember I used to go to Rosar School, and Epping Forest will always beat us. Every Monroe event, they will win that athletics part of it. So they were good all round as a school, both cricket, track and field, and netball. So, how about your Epping Forest days?
Well, I used to play cricket in first, and we used to, as you know, we play all the different schools. But the one reason why we were so good is that we're able to play the Monroe under 16 boys, play the Monroe under 16 teams on a regular basis. All right, and they would have problem beating us. Now they were competing against the other high schools under 16. We're just a primary school, so wherever we played in the all age area, we beat everybody up. We had this guy called Patrick Palmer. He went on to play for Monroe cricket. He played with some of the Steths top cricketer back in my days from Monroe. And me him used to open the batting, right and left hand combination, because I'm left-handed batsman.
Wow.
So I used to open the batting.
You're Brian Lara.
No, Brian Lara is a me.
Okay, sir. Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna just quickly turn you back over to Ian.
All right,
Ian,
Mr.
whether you want me to go out and come back with another?
You're good right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Levy, we're going to get right into this legacy of track and field, man, because, as I said, you're considered one of the best middle distance runner that come through Steths. We want to talk about the glory. So, just bring us back as best as it can. We're not going to talk about the final year as yet. We're going to hold on to that, but just tell us a couple of your earlier years. How was competition like for you, like in the class 2 days moving up? How good of an athlete were you?
Well, in class 2, I was honestly, I was number 4 on the list in the class too. So I was always on the reserve in class too. Um, with the like of Fitzroy Morrison, um, class class two, and those other guys that we had there at the time. So I end up had to run medley at champs because I couldn't get on the team. Um, so the competition was very stiff in class two.
All right, all right. So other than that, those two great races that you run at champs, just tell us what was it like? Some of the places that you would go and run. I know, back in the days there was a lot more competition on grass.
Yes.
Not a lot of us in the country. How difficult was it to be in Santa Cruz and just when you get a chance to go to Kingston? And what were some of the meets that you go to back in your days? Did you go to the Montego Bay Western Comets, and how was that
Yeah,
different?
we went to all the events that I think is similar now. There are probably a few additional ones now. But yeah, we went to the Gibson Relay, um, other development meets all around Kingston and stuff like that. But one of my most memorable year before the final year was the year with the like of Anthony Christie, um, Barrett, and all those guys at champs. I I remember I was the smallest one in the final. No, I think there was a little guy called Webb from Clarendon College also, but with Barrett and Christie, they were so tall guys, and you know, I end up I think I came third in the finals, which I surprised myself at. I think that was first year one. And from there it's like I just wanted to just be in front all the time. I didn't want to be third anymore. I just wanted to be in front. So I just started training harder, doing extra work. Um, what we start doing, we had some great guys back in the time, guys like Sampalu, Malcolm, and all these guys. So we decided that we'll camp we camp on campus and go to school and train mornings and afternoons and stuff like that to get the extra work in, because we wanted to do something special. So we put in some real hard extra work.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Thanks for that. So we're going to move along. We want to talk about 1987. Competing at boys champs. So before we get to this champs, what was the feeling going into champs? Were you thinking that you would have won the race? Were you the heavily favorite? Because look, you got two guys from Steths. You still got Fitzroy Morris, and you got two Vere guys. So how was this? Going into? Did you get a chance to race against any of those guys before champs? Tell us what was the feeling like before champs.
Well, I want to compete against Mark, because the late Burgess would never run the same event as me when we go. So we never had the opportunity of actually meeting. The only time we actually ran together is when we done relays, like the distant medley or the 4x8. But we never competed together before. Then Burgess never competed before champs 1987.
All right. All right. So that's good to know. So you guys going into champs, how confident were you at the time, going in? Did you honestly, did you believe that you would have won the race, or the race should have been this close? What were you thinking back before the race?
I was just so confident in my final year. I just think that I was untouchable, mate, because I was in such good shape that deep down nobody was running anything close to what I was running. I was going into champs. I was running 151, almost 150 on the grass. Right? Nobody was running nowhere near that at the time. I was a margin ahead of everybody, including time. My teammate Morrison was the closest to me. So we're thinking, this is going to be a sweep of 1-2
Okay.
Morrison.
So you wasn't actually focusing on Burgess. You're thinking your teammate from Steths would have been your biggest challenge at the time.
Yeah, because right through the year leading up to Western Champs held at Manning's 1987. And I remember coming off the final turn. Morrison's a very tall guy, so he went almost into lane 2, leaving lane 1. And I nipped up on the inside. And he was about to hit me for 4 with his elbow. And I had to say, it's me. And we raced to the line. It was almost a dead heat. I think we were on something like 151 on the grass at Manning's.
Yeah.
And at that point, when we went back to Steths on the Monday, me and Morrison sat out in the bleachers and we had something to eat. And I said, Morrison, you know what that means? You ain't going to beat me again. Because for the first time in a race, I was able to draw alongside him and finish the race neck and neck. And this is when I knew that, yes,
all right,
I have the edge now.
All right. So before the whole season start, what did you think you have done different to make you to enhance your performance in terms of training? What you have done different from any other year that you was able to, it was 4 guys on the 150 point. So obviously, it's either guys was trying to beat you, but what you have done differently to get better results, during that time.
Well, like I said, in my final year, when like when we do Fort Lex, all right, we normally walk back to take a breather. I decided to do something different. I decided to slow jog back, and I realized that helped to release the lactic acid, keep me a little bit more loose, and so like that. Because I was the smallest one among the group, I always run behind them because I always feel that because I'm small, I'm not supposed to go in front of them and I run past them. I remember a couple of times in training, I hit the front and they would say, what are you doing? Why are you running so fast? But I feel like I wanted to go faster. So what I did sometimes, like when I'm back home in Monroe, we have a lot of hills. We have a hill called Bob Hill. All right. And it's called Bob Hill for a reason, mate. It's like this. And I would run at least 70 meters up that hill, flat out as fast as I could. And so the extra hill work that I put in, extra work I put in on the weekends when I think everybody was resting, through the holidays, I was always working it. Always running Saturday, Sunday, 7 days a week.
All right, awesome. Well, guys, you're hearing it from the legend. I don't think Levy ever done any interview where he went back and, just able to dissect some of these races and just to give them some before champs, and we're going to talk about champs and we're going to talk about after champs, because a lot of things happen even after champs, because he went on to represent Jamaica at the Carifta game, where it was supposed to be a rematch between him getting a chance to prove that and we're going to talk about that because I just remember speak to Levy, and I don't think Levy believed that he lost that race, but don't say anything, Levy, about it as yet, about that race. But we just wanna say that with you and Fitzroy Morris, what you guys have done for Steths during the time, you guys actually, you know, kind of took this middle distance to another level, and then you was able to have another person called Paul Bryant that was a longer distance than you. So just having a guy like Paul Bryant around, and he pretty much run over spur tree. So your Bob Hill that you running over, Paul is running over spur tree, and we're going to talk about him because I just want you to give a little story about him real quick because he has meant so much. I've read so much about Paul Bryant. He probably would have been one of the greatest long distance runner for Jamaica, and Levy could testify for that because you know he was you know Levy was 815, he was a 15,500. So I know that 1500 also is a problem, when you guys run together. So I'm gonna take a break and get Mr. Ian Thomas back. I know that his voice is a little bit he's been commentating all weekend. He's don't be surprised if we get a call from the West Indies, um, you know, or from from some of these big cricket followers. But he's making some good move. I'm really proud of him. The work that he have put in, to to be able to commentate in cricket. It takes a lot of knowledge. So I want to publicly tell him that I'm proud of him, and I'm glad for him, to still find the time to come on here tonight. Even though he has been doing. Look, he's a healthcare specialist, so
Yeah.
he
Man.
he could do he could work the long hours. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
boy.
let him explain that to us.
Guys, I tell you, as I said, it's been a long week. It's been a long week. We're dealing with people, and it's challenging, especially during this pandemic. There's people come out to wear a mask. It's tough. Social distance, we have to be maintaining that. It looks like people, but we don't know. They look like people.
Yeah, still going out, Ian. Yeah, still going out.
I'm gonna leave you guys and come back in. You take it over here.
Okay. All right, Mr. Levy, we're gonna move along. We want to, said just explain to us. I want you to bring us back to the best that you can. I've been trying to find a copy of this race for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've contacted some top journalists in Jamaica. I've talked to people that actually know you, and but from what I've read in the race, I know that the Vere technical, not Burgess, Jones, he was leading the first 400. So, I don't know what position or how you was going into race, but just bring us back to the best that you can. What was the first 400 like doing that in a spectacular race?
Well, to be honest, what I can remember of that race is that because I've broken the record in the heats,
Okay, okay,
right?
okay.
Not even realizing that I broke the record. I didn't have the competition in the heats, and so I had to run my own race, and I broke the record. I think I ran 149 in the heats. So in the final, when Mark went out, he was just running my pace. It was just easy. I took up the race on the backstretch, you know, down there from the last 200, and took it up. I could hear the crowd going in the home stretch, and I knew somebody was coming. I thought it was Morrison. I didn't think it was Burgess, you know. But at that time, as you call it, the monkey was on my back, coming down that home stretch, you know. And just as I reached the line and look across, I could see Burgess across there. And, you know, it was just, it was just a close call. But I knew I beat him. I knew I won the race. Even up to today, it doesn't matter until they can bring me that video and show me otherwise. Because one of the greatest things is that champs stopped for 1 hour to figure out who won that race. So if you look on the time between the winner and the second, now how did they cipher out that time? Now we didn't have electronics timing back then. It was all hand timing. So how did they cipher out that, you know, hundredth of a second? Champs took for 1 hour. This was the prime event at Champs 1987, and for nobody to have that on tape, it's miraculous. It's crazy.
And I'm pretty sure if I could have talked to Bobby Free right now, he would have given me some update.
I don't think so, Nick. I don't think so. I don't think so. I've contacted some of the great journalists back out there, track and field, since I've been here, and nobody seemed to have it. I spoke to one fellow Steths athlete. Well, it wasn't an athlete. He was a student. I think he's in the police force in Canada, and I think he said he had it on video, but it's not all that clear. But he never get back to me. But he said he had it on a tape that he taped while he was in the stadium. So,
Yeah.
but that was a fantastic year, mate.
Well, I want to give a shout out to you, Mr. Keith Wellington, the principal of Steths. He have joined in, and he just want to let you know he was talking about you yesterday. He's went to Monroe and interviewed another gentleman, and he called that institution the school on the hill. For some reason, he said the school over there. So, but you seem like you was a part of the community of Monroe, so you was able to ride the bus, and it seemed like you have a good relationship with the Monroe. How was that like, you living up there close to Monroe, and you were such a big athlete for Steths? Did you face any word of discouragement or anything that
No, the only thing is that when we went to track meet, we were told by the Monroe PE teachers or coaches, just take it easy on my boys. Take it easy on my boys, But they was all good because at the time the head of the Monroe track and field was from the community, John Palmer. So he was from the community. So still one big family working there. So no, it was great. It was great. Monroe was like the college was like a second home because I could go there and train. I could go there and use the facilities if I needed to, although running for Steths.
All right. Well, it's good to know that. I have a lot of friends from Monroe. I enjoy playing against Monroe all the years. That's I enjoy playing against all the school. Monroe, Manchester, the Carteret, Homewood. Of course, back in the days, I used to go up on the hill. With the zones and stuff were different. So, but when you're talking about the best of St. Elizabeth, it's always somewhat Steths and Monroe.
Yes.
The only thing I could remember about the Monroe kids, they were somewhat, they seem like they're bigger and stronger. They were able to bring some talent down, especially in the football when we play against Monroe guys, they always have some guys that you know they could push you off the ball real quick. But um, big shout out to Monroe. You know, we love you guys because we always represent Saint Elizabeth.
Yes,
So
yes.
we not going to say. What's your thoughts on that, Ian?
Well, Monroe, I think the hill would have made them the statue that they have to do with the hill. Because I remember going to Monroe to compete in track and field. Yeah, and to get down to the field, you gotta go down the hill, and sometimes we sneak back up for water. Somehow when you go to Monroe, it's just the atmosphere that it presents. You wanna sneak around and you see the boys up on the hill, and trust me, it's a good walk, and they had a road through the hill to get down there.
Oh
So
yes.
so that alone in itself would have built them their muscle and everything, you know. And I think sometimes part of it is the heavy books that they carry. Because their books, man, you want that during the same type of learning setting in terms of high school. Because Monroe, I have two brothers who went to Monroe, and while I was at Steths, and my little book bag was like this, and their book bag is like this.
Oh
You know,
yes. Oh yes.
All
so
right, all
so
right.
so personally, I think they lift more weights than us, and they walk more distance. Because they do that, I think, every day, man. So
Well,
that's a Monroe athletes there, the hills. You know?
well, what happened? At Monroe, the boys them had to do cross country twice a day. They had to go running in the morning, especially the boarders. So they have to go running in the mornings. Every one of them have to go running at least
Oh,
3 miles every morning, and they have to do some form of sport, some form of activity. If it wasn't competitive, just from PE, you have to prepare yourself for interform sports. So they were always competing. So that's why Monroe have always been so good, especially at football and cricket.
All right, good, good, good. After boys champ, obviously, you have took part in 8 and the 1500. I mean, you lost the 800, and I'm assuming you won the 1500.
Yes.
Uh, you know, so that was your last year at champs. Obviously, that was the highlight of the meet. We got a champs record. We got four guys on the 150 point. And we know that record stand for a long time. I believe that record was just
Over
broken
10
in
years.
over 10 years. So again, I believe, and we know that's a Steths record. That a lot of athletes, will be having on their vision board to say, look, I want to run faster than Kenroy Levy. So congratulations to you, Kenroy.
Thank you.
We really I heard about you when I attended Steths in 1987, and I was fortunate enough to get some of the old champs book, and I read some of those books. Guys like Winthrop and you. I heard a lot about Mark Senior. I did not know much about Paul Bryant, so I want to take a few minutes before we move on from the Steths part of it and talk about your life after Steths. But we want to talk about Paul Bryant. Can you just tell us real summary? You was a teammate of Paul Bryant. Now,
Well,
what type of athlete was Paul Bryant, and how much did he inspire you while you was at Steths?
well, I met I met Paul in his final year, right? With Sebastian Warner, Winthrop, um, Swaby, Harriet, those guys the final year. So we didn't get to spend a lot of time with these guys.
Okay.
But Paul, I remember when I was running, they used to call me, they used to say I'm floating. They didn't seem like I was moving. They just see the legs going, the hands them steady at the side, and the feet just going. And I think I got that from Paul, just watching Paul running. Because Paul was very tall, skinny guy, and he was just motionless. He was just gliding, but you just couldn't keep up with him. And that's all I remember of Paul.
Okay.
I remember he said that, he going home and he'll give his bag to the guys, and he said, "So what are you doing?" He said he's running home, and I knew he live on top of spur tree.
So tell us a little bit about that. He will run home from the bottom of Spur Tree to the top while
No,
he's going home.
no, he'll run from Steths.
Wow, wow,
That is
wow,
that,
wow.
that is training. Instead of staying at Steths and running around where we go up Longwood and come back round, that his run would be from Steths home.
Oh,
Wow.
So so he doesn't have to stay at Santa Cruz and train. He run home because you know those are senior guys. Um, they were just about leaving school at the end of the year, so coach trusted them to do the work.
All right. All right. Well, definitely thank you for the memory. I know Mr. Mark Sr. is watching, and he also was, he talked a lot about Paul, and I know every year he posts a picture because he actually went to Central Arizona
Together,
with,
yes.
with Paul. So, again, we want to send our condolence to the family of Mr. Paul Bryant, a Stets legend who died tragic in the United States, many years ago. I never get the pleasure, but, I consider it as a part of the Stets family. It's also important for me to know the people that was ahead and the people that helped pave the way, and the things that they have done, because one day they're going to be a book about stats, and all this stuff is going to be in there. All this stuff is going to be about this institution, the history of
History, yes.
stats, and we're going to have that. And I will, he would be somebody that would be in the Stats Hall of Fame.
Oh, yes,
you
he have
know,
to be.
Even though he's not here, I believe that he would be something
His
to
memory
recognize.
stands.
And I'm hoping that we have a Stets Hall of Fame one day.
I hope so
But
too.
that's something that we're gonna talk about at another time. All right, Ian. Anything before we close the chapter for Stets and talk about what life after?
yes, I quickly want to ask Kenroy, with that race that you said was a close race that was basically given to someone else, how much did that affected you over the years that you you weren't given that race?
It didn't affect me, because I wanted to I wanted to prove myself at the Carifta Games, hoping that you know um, since it was just a close race at champs, we had one more time, one more opportunity to settle the score, and he decided he wasn't gonna contest it. So he decided that he'll run the 15 5,000
Wow.
because I won the 15 at champs. So
Hmm?
knowing that he beat me in the 800 according to them, he wanted to take the 1500 from me too. So he beat me twice in the year in both events, but it didn't work out. He lost the 15 too, but he didn't challenge. He didn't the 800.
Man, I would feel bad if you didn't put in that 800. Because I know you must have wanted to really beat him here and steer this time.
Well, I did get my revenge some way somehow, but not in the way I wanted it at the pen relays.
All right, all right, all right. Yep, yep. We got to talk about that because guys, this Kenroy Levy, and I'm gonna let him tell it. It was Anthony Wallace, Fitzroy Morrison, and he'll tell us the other person. You guys was the first team ever to bring back a trophy to Stets and win that pen relay watch. Tell us about that because you and Morrison, you guys are already, you know, the top two of the best 800 runners. But I know at the time, you know, you guys use Anthony Wallace, which is a 400 specialist, How did that come at the time? Because you guys wanted a relay team. So what was the dynamics of that relay team? Give us a little history about it.
Well, it's so funny that you asked about it. We wanted to go to Penrith because it was final year, and we wanted to run the 4x8. So we had two class two guys that we could use, but coach said, leave it your decision. So we decided that look, we use Vassell to run. Because Vassell run a bit of 800, but 400 hurdles was his event. Wallace was a 400 specialist, as you know. So we said, look here, if you can run a 400, all right, your train do 600, it's only 200 meters short. All you got to do is judge your first six and run your last two. And we try something. I remember we went to the Gibson Relays, and when we went down to the track, I'll never forget this. Glenn Mills and Mr. Powell from George's said, leave it. What do you think you're running? Where you going with these two guys? I said, don't worry. We're just going to try something. Because they're talking about Vassell and Wallace, because they don't know them as any 800 meter, So what we did, what we set up, we set Vassell to start as the slower man. We used Morrison to catch up on the second leg, and Wallace just to maintain the position. And the word was just get it as close as possible, and that's all it took. Get it as close as possible. As long as it was in the first 50 meters, it was just meat and drinks. it didn't matter. It didn't matter because when we had Vere, but Vere had two guys, just like me and Morrison. So their plan was to run them in the two legs that me and Morrison not running. You understand? So they could build up a lead. So Vere actually took the lead and went about 15, 20 meters ahead. But it was still all over. That was still too close. So from there we broke the world junior record for the 4x800 meter relay. So now we're on track to go to Penn Relays to run that. But we decided that we want to create a bit of history by doing the distance medley using the same four guys. And I can remember we having the J3s begging us, pleading to us not to run the distance medley, because that run Friday afternoon is a straight finals, and then Saturday morning you have the heat, and then Saturday afternoon you have the finals. So when we went there, coach said, guys, it's all your decision what you want to do. So we said, coach, we're here, this is our final year, we have nothing to lose. He said, as long as you guys don't lose the 4x8 tomorrow, that's fine. So we went out there Friday afternoon and we won the distant medley. So,
Wow.
So come Saturday morning when we got out there, we knew what we had to do, just qualified. So we had the fourth fastest time going into the finals on Saturday, where I think that our opponents thought that they run the distant medley on Friday, so it must take something out of them. So here is our opportunity. But what they didn't understand, didn't realize, as you can see on that pen relay picture there, all right, my opponent was Burgess, because this is my final chance to run against him to show the world that he ain't better than me over the 800 meters. So, even a couple of years ago, I was talking to coach, and coach was saying, "You made me nervous on the ankle leg because you let Burgess run past you because I got the button in front. Burgess run past me. I let him run for 600 meters. You know, I remember going down the back stretch the last 200 meters. I pulled up alongside him and said, "You ready?" For the last 200 meters, and that was that. We create history. It's the first school ever to win both events at Penn Relays, 4x8 and distant medley.
Wow. So, and that was the year 1987. Guys, I want you guys to hear this. This was the first Penn Relays champion for this noble institution, St. Elizabeth Technical High School. They won the distant medley and 4x8. I was fortunate enough to be on a distant medley winning team. But back in the days, they took me off, because they got more guys to switch for the 800. No, you guys was only 4 guys went.
Just the 4 guys. Just the 4 of us.
And everybody know about track and field. The distant medley has a 1200 and it has a mile, and it has a 400 and an 800. So you're talking about that guy that run the 400, normally a real 400. So now with the 4x8, you have to go up in distance. Then you got an 800 guy got to go up at 1200. Then you got another guy got to run a mile. So you guys was very diverse and versatile to be able to pull that off. And you got to run heats and final.
No, that was straight finals.
Okay.
But you know what? With the distant medley, this was a big down to Fitzroy Morrison. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if anywhere Morrison is now, Morrison will tell you he don't like anything beyond 800 flat meters. 801 meters, he didn't want to go. But let's run at 1200 meters.
Yeah.
So to get Morrison to run an extra 400 meters on top of the 800, it took guts, and Morrison done that. So we couldn't have done that without Morrison running that 1200 and Wallace running that 800 meters. But it was just strong work ethics, strong unity from Steths.
All right.
And we know that they had the whole school behind us, the whole Santa Cruz. Matter of fact, we had the whole country behind us.
All right. So tell us, what was it like when you guys get back to Steths? And I know what the principal did for you guys when you get back here, back in Santa Cruz.
Well, look, man, there was no word to describe it, mate. It was just a fantastic feeling to have come home to the whole school population cheering you on. We had to wait outside the morning when we were called. We all, up on top there. It was a fantastic feeling. It's like we had that half a day school, because the whole morning was dedicated, just for that. I don't know how royalty feels, but I can just imagine. But it was just a fantastic feeling.
All right. So tell us so back then, who was your principal, and what was that like? How much support and how that have made a difference for you guys?
Mr. Forbes or Mr. Wellington? I think Mr. Wellington. I think Mr. Wellington was the principal. I think his wife was went to be the principal of BB Coke after a while. Mrs. Wellington, yes. Mrs. Wellington?
No, I'm checking. I don't know if there was another Wellington before, but I know before Watson, Mr. Watson.
Before Mr.
Uh,
Watson, it was before Mr. Watson.
that was, I know they talk about Mr. Pottinger.
No,
Um,
he
you
was
got
he took over from Mr. Pat from and then Mr. Watson took over from, I can't remember his name at the moment, but anyway, he was from Junction.
Let me see
Uh,
if someone is going to help us out.
yeah, he was from Junction, and that. But we had a next lady, and I tell you something, Mrs. Sinclair, in the bursar's office.
Okay.
Oh boy, she made sure that we were well looked after, Mrs. Sinclair, the bursar. So I got to give to the whole entirely school there at the time, um, for the support that they gave us, because without that support, the coaching staff, you know, Elder Meyer Simmet, Mr. Danny Mullins, and you know, although he was a teammate, but he was more like a coach, Conry Burke.
Mr. Burks. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Conry was a motivator for the team, although he was a student also, you know. So without those guys, you know, it was just it wouldn't. I don't think it would have been possible without those guys.
All right, well said. So before I finish this part, or I want to ask you, what was the chemistry now? How was with you guys? For you guys traveling together, going to the pen relay. I mean, obviously, what was some of the you miss mostly about your teammates? I know you guys help support each other, and but I know when I got teammates to this day that I always gonna remember Dinsdale Morgan, Ryan Simpson, and O'Neill Duncan. Could tell you a whole list of guys that always gonna be in my heart.
That's
Don't
it.
care what I do. Tell us what's that bond like for you guys, and how is it going today in today many years after?
Well, so funny you get asked. The only one I've been in touch with lately is Vassell. I know Wallace is somewhere up in Canada, and we've been trying to contact Morrison for years, and you know, nobody seemed to have an idea where Morrison is. But no, I've only been in touch with Vassell. We had a link up when we came to the coach anniversary dinner back in Jamaica a few years ago. When Vassell was there, so we had a good catch up. We have a little chat every now and then when we're online, but it's not as strong as it is supposed to be. But I'm just hoping that wherever they are at this time, that they are in good health.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Wellington just remind us that Mr. Burton was your
Mr.
principal.
Burton, yes.
Yeah. So thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got to work on my history. I was on the Steths chat a couple months ago, and one of the question was to name all the principal, and you know, there was a gift card, and I was not able to do a good job with that, but I was able to name 4 Olympian from Steths.
Yeah.
I think that question probably should have not. I should have been eliminated from that question because that's it's an easy one for me. But
You
um,
named it. Why? I think it should be 5.
well, no, it's it's way more than that. But the question was to name any 4, including one female,
Okay, and that was
including
easy.
one female.
That was easy.
Okay. You want to give that a shot for us?
Really?
I think just
Bridget
for
Foster,
yeah.
yourself,
Okay.
Lindsay and Morgan, and Winthrop Graham.
Okay. I think for athletes it should be a lot more than 4. It's too easy. But you know, I'm sure that question for the viewers that's watching. I know someone is going to ask that question again at some point. So we got to know maybe all the principles that's been at Steths, and we also got to know, that's a good trivia question. So it's always good to know that one. All right, so over to you, Ian.
Okay, Kenroy. So I know at Steths, even though you run the tracks on the field, I know St. Elizabeth Technical is known for road race. And I'm not sure, but I know about
Yes.
Linton Mackenzie. And at some point, I heard that a schoolboy was giving him challenge.
Well,
Was that you
not on the
or
road. Not on the road. I couldn't match him
where?
on the road.
Maybe,
Um,
yeah, maybe
they,
Paul Bryan could have get him.
yeah. Back in the days was only Paul Bryan could have matched as a schoolboy match Mackenzie on the road. Um, there's no other schoolboy in Jamaica could have matched Linton Mackenzie on the road. Um, you run a certain 6K, you run a 10K, you run 6K with Mackenzie, and the next 3K, schoolboys stay behind, big man go forward. That's how, you know. But I was able to challenge Mackenzie on the track. I think it was a Gibson Relay 1987. Um, I think it was the invitational. No, it wasn't Gibson Relay. It was an invitational where we had the universities came down and ran the 1500 with Mackenzie. And would you believe me that that's my fastest 1500 meter I've ever run with Lyndon Mackenzie? I ran 3:46, something like that, beating Mackenzie. You know.
I don't know if Ian had asked you that this question, and I probably was speaking because I finished a tired weekend. But your early role model, who would that have been in terms of athletics?
Well, growing up back in the years and running distance back in Jamaica, I hear about Linton Mackenzie, seeing this guy on the road. I always want to be like him. When I used to go on the run, I used to think I am Linton Mackenzie, not Kenroy Levy. I'm just running, thinking about hearing Mackenzie with the commentating on the road. And, Bobby Frey used to comment, he'd make it sound like he's right there, although you listen to the radio. But when Bobby Frey commenting on the race, it sounds like you're watching it yourself. It's not on the radio. So I always want to be like Mackenzie, out there on the road doing all this stuff. Then when I went to Steths for the short time and running to Paul Bryan, I'm probably the same build, not as tall as Bryan, but I want to glide like him. I didn't tell anybody that, but that's where I got my model from, run the way that I did. For the short time I know Paul Bryan.
Back to you, Ian. I know you're freshman. But
Oh yeah, well, I know that I am getting some other comment that you're probably not able to see, but I know that we're getting some interaction, and we're trying to find out. There was a Steths athlete that competed in the Winter Olympics. I probably would have get this one, but I'm gonna let the viewers take care of that in the comment. If someone want to name the Steths athlete that competed in the Winter and Summer Olympics, that would be good. He probably one of the first guy that started this Winter Olympics. And I have the pleasure of seeing him every year when I go to track meet, because he also be at the stadium. So I'm not giving any more clues out. But I want to make sure if it's the first athlete, or just name one athlete that did compete in the Summer and Winter Olympics. In both Summer and Winter Olympics. That one, I'm not sure if you guys know. I don't know who did competed in the summer and winter Olympics. So we're gonna wait for someone to see if someone could guess that one. In the meantime, so yeah, so Levy, yeah, we know you talk about is Linton McKenzie was some of your role model, and just and then you went on to the Carifta game. You have done well. So just talk about yeah, your schoolboy. So after having such a great schoolboy um career at Steths, what was next for you? I know you probably have looked into going to scholarship, taking up a scholarship, because I know at the time that was one of the thing that everybody wanted to get a scholarship. But you're running 148 at the time, and we know Mr. Seymour Newman, he's the current Jamaica record holder.
Okay, Bola, yes.
Uh, yeah. How much of you in terms of meeting him? Have you ever got a chance to meet him before, and how he inspire you in any way?
Well, that you asked this question is that in my final year, um, I quit track and field for a
Wow.
couple for a couple of months that's leading up to champs and play football. Um, and one day I was in school. I saw this man sat on the bleachers. I had no idea who he was, and Elder Meyer came and called me and said that there's somebody in the bleachers wanted to talk to me. So when I went up there, it was just this gentleman sat on the bleachers with this little bag on his side. I had no idea who he was. So I'm looking around. I realized, I said, "Oh, you're the gentleman looking for me?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, No. Anyway, we got chatting. Said he was Seaman Newman, and he was here to help me. He,
Oh,
he heard I had potential, and he wanted to have a chat with me. So I think Elimaya set it up, because at the time me and coach had a little bit of indifference. So I wasn't gonna run a champs my final year. But Seymour was there. Seymour took over part of my training along with Elimaya, supervised my training. So yes, the last 3-4 months of my final year in set, Seymour did play a part. I must say big thanks to him.
okay. All right. Well, good to know, Mr. Newman, that I take part somewhere. So let's talk about what was your next move after Stets? I know that did you stay in Jamaica, or you pursue? Did you come to the United States on scholarship? Give us a little quick continuation of your career in terms of what was next after champs, and you graduated at Stets. I saw you walk down the island. That was a good time, and how proud the parents were about your accomplishment on and off the track.
Well, I don't know if words can actually um, express how they were actually feeling, you know, over those years representing the parish, Jamaica. Um, you know, they were proud. That's all I can say. They were very, very proud. Um, you know,
All right,
it's just
awesome.
more than words can explain, because the support that I had from my parents was tremendous. We weren't rich, like, a lot of us athletes that, would do track and field, you know, but we done our best. Our parents supported us, stood by us through and through. So, yes. Yeah, so after Steths, I went on to Texas. I went on to Blinn College. That is about 70 miles outside Houston. You probably heard of Blinn, know about Blinn College. We had some fantastic guy there at the time. We we actually put Blinn on the map when we went there. Um, when I was in Blinn, it was just a fantastic place to be. The coaching staff, Sylvie, was the head coach there at the time. Mr. Baden was his assistant coach. We had some fantastic athlete there. I think we actually won the indoor the first year. We had some fantastic guys there. Um, the late we call him our president, Mr. Swartz. He was a fantastic. I'll never forget that man as long as I live. If I forget my name, I'll never forget that man. What he have done for track and field at Blinn College. Because when I went to Blinn, the track was like a back road with potholes. When you're running, you got to skip the potholes, and that was the track at Blinn. And he said, "Oh, you guys come in, we got to give you a brand new track." So, we went on to Blinn. We put Blinn on the map for a couple of years. We had a few of the Jamaicans there at the time. We had Morrison that came, I think, was a semester after Wallace, Vassell. We have a guy like Lyndell Patterson, Buchanan from Monroe, a high jumper. We have some fantastic athletes then. So yeah. So after Blinn, I decided that I wanted to give back to the island. So I went back home. Um, that's what I really wanted to do. I didn't really want to live in America. I have got so much from Jamaica to put me where I was at the time. So I was thinking about lining my pocket. I was thinking about how can I give back to some of these young athletes. So when I got back to Jamaica, my first, 2 days after I landed back in Jamaica, I was coaching at Monroe College. 2 days later.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So we'll see that we see now where Monroe came in. Since that was your neighborhood school, and you came to America, and so what was the transition during college for you? That's always a question that for me it was great. I mean, I was excited to eat French fries and all that stuff, and it was a group of guys, 6 of us, in junior college. So for me, I was just happy. We usually just say, "Look, I'm 6 months in America," and we were just enjoying at the time. Back then. Or was that transition for you?
Well, you guys had fantastic time back then compared to what we had back then.
Okay.
I still tell my daughter that I remember we had to fight the squirrels for pecan, especially when school closes because we didn't have anywhere to go. So when school, for Thanksgiving or whatever like that, we had to be there. We had to put our little money together, cook in the dormitory because we didn't get the amount of food that we really want. It wasn't really our thing. So we came together and we cooked in our closet, and used the spray to spray outside the door so the dorm mother wouldn't smell the food and stuff like that, And then, we had lecturers who help us out. They would allow us to come by their house and prepare meals for ourselves after, on the weekends and, when school was out and stuff like that. So it wasn't as glamour for us, especially when school was out. But during school session, It was no different from going to Steths because being at Steths, growing up from my community, the way we were brought up, right? This was not new. Um, Whatever you had, you ate. Um, I was brought up in church, like many of us. We had to go to church. We didn't have a choice. You know, we had we had to go. I remember when I used to go to church, I used to wear my short khaki to church Sunday. And make sure you don't dirty it because you got to wear to school Monday. And you have seams in it. You have seams in it. You could shave A and B with it.
Yeah. All right. All right. So that was a good experience for you. You came over. You did what you have to do. How much did your track and field career, in terms of your performance, did you actually, were you able to improve, or at the time, how was your accomplishment at Glen Junior College in terms of junior college and all that?
Yes, we had two good, fantastic seasons there. Um, Indoors, had great experience running indoors. Um, some good quality time running indoors in there. Unfortunately, the first year outdoor in Odessa, out in the desert, there was blown out by storm, so we didn't get to compete on the outdoor
Okay.
circuit out there. But we had fantastic indoor season. I remember competing at George Mason in the indoor up there. So yeah, it was fantastic. It's a good time. We had some good Kenyan athletes. We had um, we had one guy who left college, went to Mexico to train. You probably heard of him, Julius Kiroki. Never forget him. You know, and I think he won the Olympic steeplechase in there. So yes, we had fantastic years at Blinn.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So we're going to move along. I know Ian probably have some general question. In terms of challenges and obstacle. I got some more track and field question for you. But I'm gonna get one more and then we go on. So let us talk about your moving back to Jamaica and back training. I mean, coaching at Monroe, and you were still training on you. I'm assuming you was training yourself. Find time to train before you do the coaching. Let us know about the first time you was able to represent Jamaica as a senior athlete. Um, for the record, I know that you have went to the Commonwealth Games in '98, and you have you know placed at the CAC Games also. So, what was that experience like? How did you feel about your career in terms of to be running so excellent in high school? How did you feel about that time about your career? In 1998 and stuff, represent Jamaica. I mean, what were your goals back then?
Well, imagine that I came back to Jamaica '89, right? I was involved in coaching almost right through from '89 right back through. Now I was um I was coaching down by Excelsior High School, and I was living in Stony Hill at the time. And there was a famous jerk place in Constant Spring. So Friday afternoon, I stopped for a beer, and I decided just to have one beer. Then, just as I put the bottle down, a next one was open in front of me, and I was like, I didn't order that. And she said, well, somebody did. It's paid for, so you might as well have it. So I sat there and I had the beer. Just about to get up, this gentleman came over to said to me, "You cannot leave it." I said, "Yeah, it depends on who is asking." And he started telling me he used to come to champs, and he used to be a big fan of me back in high school, and where have I been ever since, So he said, you can't run again because you're an old man now. I said, it's all in here. If you want to do it, you can always do it. So he said, so why you don't do it then? So, well, then, I have to make a living now. And, I'm doing some work on Excellence High School. The money not great, but, I can't train the way that I need to train now at the senior level. So he said, you don't worry about that. So I said, where you living? I said, Stonehill. He said, yeah, Stonehill is a big place. So I gave him an idea where. So he said, okay, you don't worry about it. You want support? I'll support you. He left. I got to Stonehill. Saturday, my head was all over the place because it started to bring back memories now. So I traveled down to St. Elizabeth Saturday night. I went down to Monroe, down to the track on the Monday afternoon. So I'm going to start doing some training. I did one lap and I couldn't do it. I went back home. I said, no, I can't bother with this, man. Tuesday morning, I got up early. So I decided to go for a run. So I decided, you know what? I'm just going to leave my home, run around Monroe, and come back, which is probably around 3 miles. You know where Hampton School is? I end up in Malvern, mate. At that time of the morning, I couldn't get a ride back. So you know what I had to do? I had to run back. So from that Tuesday morning, I said, oh, not bad, I can do it. So anyway, I got a call from Monroe later on in the week saying that the coach had left and if I'm available. So I said, yeah. So if I will be able to assist one of the PE teachers there. So I said, yes. So I went to Kingston with them on this Saturday. And there was a club team from Montego Bay. And we knew each other from back then. So they shortened one guy for the event, one guy pulled out. So they said, Levy, come on a leg for us, man. I said, man, I haven't been doing any training, man. I can't. I said, come on, man. You can do anything. So anyway, I got a shorts and a spikes and ran the leg of the 4x8, run the 4x4 for them. And from that day on, I went back home to Stonehill, and the Monday morning I was there. I see a gentleman. I'm looking for Kenroy Levy. I said, I am. He handed me an envelope. So what is that? He said, for your training. So this gentleman started supporting me so I could get back into my training. And from then I started running for this club in Kingston. So I started staying down in Maxview, down Mountain View, training. I happened to work with Glenn Mills for about a year. Glenn Mills was my coach. So after then, I decided to go to GC Foster. From then, because working and running wasn't an easy thing, so I went to GC Foster College, and I had a hard time getting into GC Foster. But Mr. Murray, Mr. Murray was the vice principal there. He said, "Oh, you must be crazy, not let this guy come through the gate, want to come into an institution and don't let him in." He said, "Do you know who this guy is?" He said, "This is the great Kenroy Levy." So he signed me up straight away. And, I had the privilege of working with Michael Clark at the time, because he was the the coach there. So he was my coach through that time. We had, you know, great training, good workout session. You know, Mikey was ecstatic to have trained work with a half miler because I think up till now I think I am the only half miler at my level that Mikey have ever worked with Michael Clark. So yes, he had a big part to play within my last final couple of years of running the 146 at the CSA game came third. So yes, that's all my comeback. But you know the greatest thing about it, this gentleman up to today, I don't know who he is.
Mm,
He never revealed himself.
wow. Well, was a good Samaritan.
Yes,
We're glad that happened because you actually have, you know, end up running all the way down to 146
yes,
8. You did that in 1999, but I believe he was able to make it also, as I said, to the Commonwealth Games,
yes,
and you barely missed the medal. I believe it was fourth place,
yes,
on that. So for you to make that type of comeback, and I know that you even ran in '99 at the CSC. Also, actually, I was a part of the 4x4 team that won the medal. So you did some things, in your career, and I know that got to be pleasing for you, to end your career on, and actually come back, and try to continue what you were doing, even though you was kind of away for a little bit. But we always, want to know about, obviously you didn't get a chance to go to the Olympics, but
no.
what was that like for you, in terms of trying to qualify for the 2000 Olympics? What was that experience like? How was that going?
Well, you know what? I think 2096 I think was my best year.
96. Okay.
96 Olympic trial was my best year because I think then when we had I think 9 guys. We had 9 guys at the time, which was the most Jamaica have ever had competing at that level, at the highest level. Because we had Terry Long, we had Watson, we have um, Watts, and we had all those guys back then um, running. We know Terry Long was good, but I think I was the favorite because I was locally trained at the time. So I got injured then. You know, 96 was my best. In 2000, I I think I couldn't have made it then because it was too steep then at the time when the Kenyans and running at those times. I know I wasn't gonna be of any substance there, and to run 800 at that caliber, you have to have regular competition. Now, me running 146 in Jamaica back then at GC Foster College, right? Um, my training was comprising of me running down guys, all right? Me running 800 meter, all right? Mr. Clark would send a guy 100 meters ahead of me, and I had to run him down, So I was like a fox chasing a rabbit in training to run 146, and even at 100 meters, I was still even closing them. If it was at 800 meters, I'd beat them probably by about 70, 80 meters. You know, that's how close I was still running to them, catching them after giving them a 100-meter start.
All right.
Yes,
All right. All right. All right. Well, definitely was a heck of a career. I mean, it's I know that, there probably be a few disappointments and a few things that you would have done different. Anything you would have done different, if based on what you know or wish you would have, doing some point in your career?
Well, one of the things that I think I regret a bit was not stay down in America and go further into the career of track and field. But like I said, my mindset wasn't there at the time about that. My mindset was about giving back to the community. Um, I wasn't thinking about making big bucks and could give them back, youngsters to the community. My thing was about working, being there with them, and supporting them through. Um, just the same way I was being recruited through primary school, searching out talents. You know, that's what I wanted to do. That was, and I was able to do that for many years. So missing out on the Olympics and other big games and stuff like that, yes, opportunity missed. But in terms of things that I wanted to do in terms of track and field, I think I've accomplished a lot of them because I've worked with athletes who have gone on, coach athletes who have gone on to be Olympians, both male and female. So, you know, Sherwin Simpson of Manchester High, former Manchester High. I was a high school coach. Sherry and Brooks, I was their high school. Um, you know, I don't think a lot of people knew this. You know, Nesta Carter. You know, I was Nesta Carter's coach, Manchester High School. You know, Nesta wanted to go to Homewood, but you know he didn't make the cut for Homewood, so I took him at Manchester High, and you know Nesta became big Olympian. So, you know, I've worked with them. You know, Claston Bernard, a former Monroe athlete. You know, so to name a few, I have achieved within myself some goals. You know, looking at some of these athletes like Nesta Carter, Sherwin Brooks, Sharon Simpson, you know, sitting down watching them competing at the highest level, you know, it brings it brought joy to me at the time when they're doing that. So, you know, I feel good, mate. Missing out the Olympics, but to train, work with Olympians, that grassroots, from the grassroots up, no better feelings, mate.
All right, all right. Come on, Ian. You know, don't let
Uh,
Levy get off the. I know that we're.
I'm easy. I'm easy this evening, man. This evening it's a cruise evening. I just let you work the system. But
Yeah.
anyway, Levy, my question to you is, while you're at Steths, which area in terms of career field will you have chosen?
Agricultural science.
And that I guess because we're from the south side of Saint Elizabeth.
Well,
What
that
what
that
was
have
your
to do
reason
with
for
it.
getting into it?
That have to do with it because you know I brought up with plants, as you know, in Saint Elizabeth, you know, helping our parents. We have our own little garden by the side, make our own little money, our own little cabbage patch and stuff like that, you know. So I was good at accounting, you know, and I love agricultural science. So you could there was a combination of agricultural science that you got to do both of them together. So I was able to fulfill what I wanted to do, agricultural science and accounting.
I think I've chosen the same thing. I Tennessee had offered me that option, so I did the same agriculture with the science, which was
Yes,
good, and accounts, which was
yes,
I'm happy that I made that decision really, because further on in life, I realized I was able to use a lot of those courses to propel me further. All right. Next thing is, with being an athlete, with all those extra hours that you have to put into training and all, how were you able to balance the book along with the track?
oh boy, it was honestly it was hard work because like I said, sometime riding the bus back from training on a school night, um you know, the driver would stop at Leeds, with his friends. So I'd ask him to park the bus on the street light. So, if I have homework, I do my homework on the street light. Sometimes I get home at 10 o'clock at night, mate. Sometimes I leave Santa Cruz at 5 o'clock. I didn't get home at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm up next morning. I remember a couple of times I have extra homework. I sleep at the dining table, with my head in the books, get up in the morning and go on to school, you know. But it was all about the upbringing. It was all about the upbringing, we had to do our chores. Life wasn't easy. So we had to balance there, because when we talk about balance, when I was in the primary school, we didn't live far from primary school. So we had to come home for lunch most times. Because we didn't have lunch money. We got to come home for lunch. Now, we had to come home sometimes, get the money, run to the shop, buy the flour to make dumpling. All right? Have our dumpling with pears. Because dumpling and pear back them days, boy, I don't know, any Jamaicans will tell you about dumpling and pear,
Up to this day, man.
Oh, see, so we sometimes we had to do that and run back to school before the bell, because you're late. You know where you get in bus, you get in the truck. There's no excuse. So so from an early age out, we had to learn to balance everything. Excuse wasn't a part of it. You have things to do. You have to find ways to do it. If you want to do both, you got to find ways. So, the upbringing helped us to balance both career.
All right. When it comes on to schoolwork, was your parents one of those strict parents that would say it is schoolwork first before that track and field?
Well, yes. Every weekend I had to present my books for my father. I just had to put them on the table. Now, he didn't want me to explain anything to him. I just had to put them on the table. I don't know if he checked or not. But, as a child, then, he asked you to put the books on the table and you go about your business. He don't want you hanging around, lighting around. I don't know if he checked, but I was told, if your book failing, then you can't do track and field. Now, I love track and field, so I had to keep the books going too. I had no choice.
Well, I'm happy you did. It's always good when you can have a balance, because we realize that a lot of our athletes, either they're able to balance one but not the other, and some of athletes will have just put up the track and field and mommy say, "Hey, let me see that book," like like you say your father. They're looking and it's not looking too good. They may ask a student to get what they gotta put this up, and I've known a few students that happened to that had great talent, but the book wasn't coming along, and they were asked to either stop football, stop cooking, stop
Yes.
track and field, because our parents look forward to us going to school and excelling, because they want to talk to me about, man, my son is doing so good. It's
Oh,
never
yeah.
about school for some of them. It was the book. So I'm happy that you're able to balance both.
Yeah, because from a youngster in primary, my goal was never to live in my community once I grew up. My ambition was always to be visiting my community, not visiting somewhere else from my community. I've always want to be the exceptional, be different, because I've seen, guys before me and they're just within the community. I want to be different. So I had to do everything that I know I can and I could. And like I said, when you grew up in church, you know that there's no but. There's only the will. And once you do the will, then everything will fall into place. You just have
I
to
was
believe.
I was gonna ask you where you get that inspiration from, but I could almost tell already that you brought up God the principles. So turn it back over to you, Ian.
All right, leave it. So, just gonna wind down right now. So we just wanna, obviously tell us if you regret that you would have wish you have stayed at a little bit more time in the U.S. And train a little bit. So other than just tell us a little bit about what life is like. How are you enjoying now? Not running, but you look like you're staying in good shape, and you are like you're running on the ice sometimes.
I couldn't tell the day last I do any running, Ian, but you know, one of the main things that you do after you do all of this is try to maintain a healthy diet and look after yourself as best as possible. Um, you know, I do cycling now, for my exercises and stuff like that when I do. I'm still as slim as when I used to be back in school. I don't think I put on 2 pounds over when I was in high school. Um, yeah, I moved to the UK and because I was living in Florida, you know, and then I moved to the UK. I've been here since 2002, and I moved down to Wales shortly after, and I just fall in love with Wales. You know, um, Wales remind me of, apart from the cold and the holy rain from time to time, you know, country life. Country life in the UK. This is where I find it. So I've been managed to come here and settle down and make a life for myself since 2002.
All right. So are we going to be able to see a young Kenroy Levy on the track one day, or junior? Or that it might be soccer. Do you think any we'll see any?
I I doubt it because my my son now is 17. My youngest is 14, and she wanted to do track and field. You know, but the system here for young athletes is not like back home in the Caribbean or back in Jamaica. Where our youngsters are eager and do the work and stuff like that. Here, I don't know. It's a different mentality to getting these youngsters because when I moved here, I came across some very talented athletes, but they don't want to do the work. And I was saying to my daughter, if she wanted to get into track and field, I would have to move her back to Jamaica.
Yeah.
For her to do that. So no, I don't. I doubt it.
All right, all right. So in terms of if you were supposed to talk to a few of the young athletes right now, young middle distance runner up and coming in Jamaica, and I mean, what do you think can be done? I mean, I know we saw, as I said, a few years ago, kid break the record, run 148, but obviously we are lacking in the middle distance and the long distance. I know field events is doing pretty good now.
Yes.
So, but based on your experience and what you have learned over the years, what advice would you give to young athletes in terms of trying to have a good track and field career and aspiring to just for greatness?
Well, like I've been saying for years, and with the young athletes back there, we have some fantastic coaches back home in Jamaica. A lot of them who have run middle distance and something like that. But I think what I saw for many years, a lot of the athletes wanted to do the shorter work, right? Because they think that Running the shorter events make you great. To run middle distance, it takes guts, a lot of hard work. Um, I always say to athletes, if you want to be great, you want to succeed, you do training from what 3 o'clock till 5 o'clock, 5 days a week. All right, and you think that's enough? That's not enough, mate. I always use going to class. All right, we go to classroom and we do our schoolwork from 8 till 3. But the hard work comes after completing the homework, the extra work that you got to put in after school, which is your homework and extra work. And that's where you pays off in the academic aspect of it. The same thing is in the track and field. In there, you have to be disciplined enough to do extra work outside the training ground to enhance yourself. I've done that. I've experienced that. All right. I've used it while I was coaching, and it paid off. I remember it paid off for one particular female athlete, former Manchester High School athlete who became Olympian. It paid off because of the extra work. But it's the belief that you can do it. Just don't mediocre and say, "Oh, I go training and that's enough." You want to go to the next level? Better put in the extra work. You will know about the cricket. You go cricket there. You go home. You hang your socks up in the tree with a ball, and you practice your batting. In your own time. That's the extra work for your cricket. Track and field is the same thing. I know you've done that weekly in your time to reach where you reach. Set your own program, the extra work. Model that after coach gave you, you do some extra work similar to what you do. It's just the same thing. It's just getting the mindset.
All right, awesome. Well, I got two more questions and then we're going to let you go because I know it's getting down to around 2 o'clock in the morning for you.
1:10.
I'm very happy that you're spending the Sunday evening with us. How would you? I always want to know how you being an athlete, such a great athlete now. How does that help you in your regular current life now? How being a athlete now? How do you use that now to make you a better human being?
Well, you know, the discipline, the foundation, and the foundation start from home, straight through school, primary school, up through high school, take you to your college, and because the foundation have been solid, you know, um, once the foundation is solid, mate, you don't get to just keep on that path, and once you just keep on that path, you just can never go wrong, you know? And the whole thing about it on that path, you just got to ask the Almighty God for strength to keep you, guide you, protect you as you go along. Because without that guidance, mate, keep asking for that protection. I don't know where I'll be today. But like I said, strong foundation, a lot of people behind me, support, who, even at my age now, some of them still alive. I think I put a foot wrong, they will be ashamed of me. No, I can't afford to happen that. No, I didn't do that when I was younger. So to step out the line now, it wouldn't be right for me. I can't see myself doing it. So I just stay in line, mate. Just look back on the good old years that got me to where I'm today.
All right. All right, Mr. Levy. This is my final question. I'm gonna let you go, but I want you to think about this here real good. Kenroy Levy. Um, student of Steths, BB Coke, Blinn College, Jamaica national representative. I have a brother and a sister that compete. One went to Vere, one went to BB Coke. Come from a running family. Dad is an Alcan worker. All right. So, Mr. Levy, what I want to ask you, you were supposed to give me, just tell me how you'd want to remember, how you want someone to know you that doesn't know you. Just give a quick description of who is Kenroy Levy, what you want people. I know you as a Steths legend. You have paved the way. You have based on going back to Jamaica. How could you explain that to us for the viewers and for everyone, in closing?
Boy, that's look. I'm just a simple, easygoing person. You know, that's the way I was brought up. Just being simple. Just take one day at a time. Not fussy. You know, easygoing, mates. I just want to remember just as the bloke who just you could come to ask any question anytime, for support. If I can, I will. I'll go the extra mile to support if I can. You know, that's easy going, mate. That's easy
All right.
going. Easy going.
All right. So, guys, you hear it, Mr. Kenroy Levy, the easy going, simple, and just take it easy. All right, Ian, closing remarks for you.
Well, really and truly, I just wanted to ask a final question here, Kenroy. With you representing Jamaica, wearing that Jamaican colors, how did that make you feel as an athlete that you have, achieved such accomplishment?
Very proud, man. Every now and then I go to my wardrobe and I still look on my national suit. My outfit. When I go back home to Jamaica, I still have my green trousers and my yellow top in my wardrobe still back there.
Yeah,
Memories and stuff like that. It's but man.
yeah. I'm looking at mine right now, Kenroy. Nice. This the tie right here.
Well, I
And
still wear my tie sometimes. I
I
still wear
tell
my tie sometimes.
I tell my wife if I pass away before her that this is it right here.
Yes, yeah.
I'll put it on record.
I still wear my tie. I My boat is still on my jacket that I wear up to today. you know, so it's it's been magical, mates. I don't think I could ask for anything else. Coming from a humble background, a little district like Potsdam in Monroe, St. Elizabeth, um, to achieve what I achieved, run for Jamaica, I thought you'd have to come from Kingston or some big place to represent Jamaica. It was just a great feeling, mate. Still a great feelings, even up till now, to represent Jamaica. Um, Even to sit here tonight talking to you guys, about the past, it's like I'm 18 again.
Okay. All right, here we go. If I was to give you a minute to give a shout out to all those youths up there in Potsdam, in Potsdam, Monroe here, and I'm gonna go down to my ear and I'm not too far away from people.
Oh, yes.
What would that message be to you?
Well, my message would be right now to all youngsters who want to get out there and explore the world. Um, Sports is a great way of doing that. Just being disciplined. Um, think about the hard work because in every aspect of life, there's hard work. There's no easy road, right? No easy road to success. Yeah, people might say, yeah, I can make money easy, but that's the easiest way to falling back down. So take up sports as a hobby. You know, it's a perfect example of, the gentleman that I'm talking to right now, and many other viewers. who have taken up sports and been able to see the world through the eye of sports. It's a great place to start. And to
All right.
all the viewers online who is tuning in, you know, thank you for taking the time out to sit up, view, participate, and I hope that this show might continue and I'll be able to hear from some of the other great guys, that passed through Steths and future Olympians to come.
Well, we just want to say thank you on behalf of Ian and Ian for taking the time out from your busy schedule and at this late time, so your sleep time. But one thing I can say is all of it is because of our passion. Because trust me, if it was something else I'm not sports tonight, I would be sleeping around time. You know, yes, I'm almost far now. But when you're passionate about something, somehow you make it work. And
Yeah,
that's all make it happen. So we thank you for the journey, man. We thank you as fellow students and past students of STEP, for the journey and your accomplishment. We just want to say we are proud of you. Continue to carry that Jamaican flag high still, because we know wherever we go, we are mentors still. You continue doing the good work that you're doing. Continue to walk in faith. I already didn't touch in the Christian principle, but I know it. I know, that's our roots there. You
Rose,
know,
yes.
that's where it all started, from the mind, the belief that you can do it, the willpower. And we just want to say, man, we love you. Just continue shedding your light as you go.
Mm. Thanks again, guys, for having me, and thanks again for all the support I've been there, and I'll be in touch. I keep up the good work, and we'll be in touch soon.
All
All
right.
right, thank you,
All
man.
right.
Listen.
Cheers,
All right.
everyone.
All right, my friend. God bless you.
Bless you. Yeah. You wanna do this? You're offline now, ain't you?